Say hello, Zorma.
Hey, I'm here. I'm not seeing the Twitch yet, though.
No,
Maybe.
it'll take a second to come up. But for just when it does come up, um, yeah, we're back again after a short hiatus. Um, and yeah, I took some time off to be with the family, enjoy the summer a little bit before the big, uh, the big date of releasing the Notinante, which is shortly to be renamed. I do feel the ship Notinante is maybe just a little bit too close to Rocinante and a little too cheeky. So we're currently accepting submissions for name suggestions for the ship. We've had some good
Ooh.
ones so far. So check out the most recent updates. Where can they find all of this information, Zorima?
Well, I'm going to post that in the link right now. Give me a second and we'll get that up there. But you can find us on the web and on Discord frequently, being able to help. Those links will appear momentarily.
Indeed. I'll just test the chat there and make sure that it's actually working. I'm a bit rusty with the old Discord because we haven't actually been on for I think about a month now. Hey, Pulsifer, welcome. Um, so today, as you guys might know already, the ship is completely feature complete and test printed. In fact, you can see it in the background. I don't want to get too cocky here and show off too much because I want to leave the big punch for at the end, but you can see the paint job done by Brian Jenkins is absolutely fantastic. Print provided by Proteus. Um, so the interior is being painted at the moment. We have an official launch date. It's a pretty hard date now since I've talked to a number of people about it. It is September 9th. Now I'm going to try and get out a pre-campaign page because Kickstarter has that now so that people can get the links, get ready to go for day one, check out what the pricing is going to be ahead of time. This time it should be more affordable. The ship itself, I'm setting at 300 crowns. It's like about $33. Um, despite the fact that it is around about the same weight as the uh, the Chimera, it is far more portable. It holds together better. I'm very happy with how it's come out, and I think you guys will be too. Um, so we're going to today just talk about the campaign, and I thought also we can look into the first stretch goals. I also have a cool graphic I'm very proud of that I did the last couple of nights. This is an exploded version of the interior. Let's get to let's see where the actual view actual size. There we go. So a little bit hastily rendered. You can't see all the details, but this is on our Discord at the moment. Hey, Braz, welcome, and thank you for your holiday wishes. I did have a relaxing holiday. Managed to get through all 8 of the Expanse books in my hammock, and for at least 3 of the weeks, I did manage to stay awake just a little bit. So we have our cockpit. Yeah, sorry, Zarma, did you want to
I see
contribute?
it bugging you still, keeping you, poking you occasionally to make you work. But
That's always a good thing, especially if I start rambling. It's hard to remember this is a two-person show.
okay,
Um.
I, I forgive you, boss.
Oh, thank you. So we have the we start with a bridge, which is multi-tiered. You can sort of see the glow of the screens. We're still working on the power, but the we do have plans to offer a physical kit. Zoram is actually in charge of that one, so it will be an add-on on top of the regular campaign, and it won't be a part of the all-in for obvious reasons because this will require additional communication and shipping. And I don't know if we're limiting it to US customers, but the shipping will be quite expensive out of the US for example, people in Europe.
Well, unless you do a slow ship. I mean, if you want it fast shipped, then yeah, it's quite expensive. But slow shipping would take about 2 weeks to get to you from overseas. The parts are manufactured or assembled in the U.S., so it's U.S. local. So it's about 2 to 3 days maximum anywhere in the United States to get the those parts. They're an add-on that will be basically allowing you to add more warmth and character to the ship by giving you a lighting kit that's pre-assembled in a package. All you do is pull it out of a little package and run little wires where there's tracks already in there and stick a battery in it, and bam, it's up and running. There is an off-on switch that would be included. We have lighting for the air dock, the airlock level, which is
Yes,
over this
right here on the screen actually.
right there,
So
and
you
we
can
have
see the suits are lit up. So there's little lights in a string that are hidden behind here.
mhm. And all the way at the bottom there'll be engine lights as well that will shine down from the tail of the ship.
Down in here
These
as
are
well. They feed the batteries sit in this generator and sort of feed out into 5 sections which light down below. Right
right,
now, we're just switching to a stronger, flatter type of light, just to give it a little bit of an extra oomph.
right, better characteristics. So we're working on upgrading that kit. We were going to put a third kit in the bridge, but I think we've decided to forego that for now. There might be some add-on kits later in history, but at the moment, the two kits that will be available in the Kickstarter will be the airlock one and the engine one. Uh, Assuming people are interested in it, then we can go from there to add different characteristics later, maybe. But hopefully, we'll see more of this kind of stuff in future projects as well.
Oh yes, and we already know what the next ship is going to be. We're still not talking about it too much, but Traveler. Anyway, it's very exciting to work on that project in the future. Um,
I can't wait to do the interview, to tell you the truth.
yeah. Um, so yeah, it should be interesting. Um, we have all of our levels here. Sort of like I've gone through, actually worked on the texture so we get a little bit of color. Um, I'm showing you this render because Maya, in its native form, you can see that the engine, uh, sort of like blast radius here looks really weird. That's because it'll actually render properly. The render time's still at least 4 or 5 minutes for smaller pictures, and even these white sections are actually yellow. Basically, Maya has its native render engine. It's called Arnold, but I use one called Redshift, and it's not supported natively in the viewport, which is where I mostly show you guys what's going on. And then the other thing too is Maya itself is quite an expensive piece of software, so I have a copy here and I have a copy at home. My home computer is a little bit stronger than my one at work, so Redshift licenses. Long story short, I only have one copy on my home computer, so the one I have here I can't render with without a watermark. So that's why I usually show just what's on the screen. And this Maya file for reference has gotten a bit big and bloated. It's around 3 gig at the moment, which means every time it um, tries to save, it takes a few minutes. So we might see that pausing every now and then. Um, so one exciting thing about this campaign is we're also working with John with this deck designer to do the planning. So there'll be stretch goals related to that. There'll be stretch goals related to the Noddy, this ship, and there will be stretch goals related. Hey, Pickle. Um, and there'll be stretch goals related to the miniatures that are coming with this campaign. So unlike others where there has been a crew pack, there will be one crew pack that is the main thing, and it will have its own stretch goals. Um, Starting with 5 miniatures, we'll add some additional poses for like 0G and sitting, and then we'll proceed to add additional crew members. So the idea is, I've stolen the idea a little bit from the Ships of Sordain, where they had these fantasy spelljammer type ships, but they also provided a crew for each one, and I thought that was a really great idea. So I've appropriated it. Um, but every other stretch goal will be a ship related one. So we'll still get a good amount of 10 to 15 stretch goals, depending on how well things go, based on the ship itself. And then I'm also planning to do, since we are releasing the deck designer, I was thinking of doing some ship variants using mostly existing parts for the Chimera, but there might be one or two items in there that I add. So I'm working on at the moment a smaller ship. I forgot to turn off the sound on my phone.
How was that?
That was very loud.
Yeah.
Hope that wasn't my package coming. Yeah, I just realized I didn't put the sound off completely. All right. So I have
Bad boss.
Bad boss. Yes, I haven't done this for a while, so things go wrong. Where was I at?
I don't know.
No one does. That's the big problem. I was talking about the crew and the stretch goals, and I was yes, I was saying the deck design is going to solve some of the issues where I know I've designed with a sort of Lego philosophy in mind with compatible parts, but because of the fact that it takes so long to actually print out the parts, I understand why people are a little hesitant to design non-conforming designs, and I've seen a few people download Blender or try to use their slicer to put together different sections of the ship. The deck designer is going to solve all that, and it will also solve the lack of instructions for ship variants and the like. So to celebrate that, I had the idea today that I'm actually going to do a smaller variant of the Chimera. I'm going to call it the Chimera Cerberus because it will be an armed patrol ship. So it'll reuse mostly parts from the Chimera. So I'll probably add a version that's just the deck plans for it so that you can build it as like a $5 instruction or something like that. And then a version of the ship that's a standalone for those that don't own the Chimera as an add-on. So
I thought we were building a torpedo tube, boss.
Sorry?
We're building a torpedo tube.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Oh, okay.
Quite possibly.
I'll shut up. Go ahead.
No, I just had that open before. But today on the Notinante we are building a torpedo tube. Actually, no, we're not building a torpedo tube because we have a torpedo tube.
Shocker.
Sorry?
Shock.
Yes.
Torpedo.
But we don't really have torpedoes at the moment. We just have this thing, which it looks like an elongated pill. So we're going to actually, and you can actually see there's a space inside for additional pill-like objects. I'm actually going to today I thought it would be a nice thing to just try and do a ship-to-ship torpedo. We want it a bit longer, something like that. It'll fit 10 to a side, and you can then obviously just plug it in. So the idea is, well, don't worry, we'll also have a version where we switch out the bottom of the ship for a single engine for those that want to go for a very close match. Those that perhaps own the Expanse RPG, uses the Age system, the same as Dragon Age, the same as Blue Rose, a couple other ones like that. It's quite similar to D&D, but maybe not as heavy rules-wise. So, what is a missile or torpedo in the Expanse? Essentially, it's a warhead on its own Epstein engine, which means that the top part of the design has to fit in a tube, so no wider than this thing. But the top part of the design should have a warhead on it. We're going to need some maneuvering thrusters on it because, we don't have an atmosphere, or you can't just stick a tail fins on it and have it steer, right? So, and then we're going to need something similar to the main engine of a ship. It's essentially a mini fusion reactor with a warhead on it. Most of the warheads are either plasma or nuclear, according to the books. So I thought this would be a nice thing we can sort of do in the coming 40 minutes and discuss the campaign. So I've blathered on a lot. If you guys have ideas for features on this torpedo / missile, there's really not a distinction because they're all guided. I guess technically torpedoes are more like traveling horizontal things. In the Expanse, these work, and I think in any ship they would work by just ejecting them, getting them to self-propel themselves away from the ship, and then fire their main engines, because you don't want any recoil if possible. If you're going to have we'll also do a railgun that's spinal mounted somehow. I've just got to figure out where exactly that's going to fit. So yeah, we can have up and down ones. Okay, maybe a bomb / pumped laser PD missile that has a bunch of optics on the end. I think we need to start with the basics pickle, with a standard warhead. Although we could have additional ones. It's kind of weird that they have like an Epstein drive on their missiles, but that they don't use a fusion reaction. I don't know. It seems a bit weird.
In space, you don't really need a huge explosion to tear something up. Just, something small going fast, punching through a ship is enough to destroy it.
Yeah. What about reusing the existing large missile from previous collections? The advanced one or the large one? Because we can probably drop. Let's see. I need to go.
Well, you could just show off the large one so they could see it at least.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop them into the scene. Let's see if I go to my library, which would be on Dropbox there, and STL.
I agree, Pickle. I like the laser idea, laser pump bomb, because light drive like that, pushing the light, using the light pressure to get it out of the hatch, doesn't have any kickback, and you can use it for optical targeting.
Yeah, look at all these hard sci-fi people knowing what they're actually talking about.
What? Me? No.
Okay, so we have the missiles here, very, very roughly. Where did the advanced one go? Oh, it's right there. So I'm just going to lift these up so we can compare them size-wise. So
yeah, but in the Expanse, Pickle, they use the bombs that they send, or the missiles they send, use a concussion charge or nuclear charge, and it has to only blow up near the ship, and that's all it takes to destroy it.
Yeah, it's plasma or it's nuclear. So that's what we're going to try and replicate first and foremost. So I understand the will to want to use existing designs, but if you look at the size of the large missile that we had, not quite the same size. I can look also in the
She looks cool.
where was it? Starship 4. Then we want add-ons, and we want the Starfighter pack, and then we want weapons and missiles. These are even smaller.
All these other packs are available, by the way, in the link above at the beginning of the show. At my mini factory, most of them are available there to add on or purchase if you see something you want to grab. And if you have questions about where to find it, you can post in our Discord, which is also listed up there, and ask, and we'd be happy to show you exactly which feed goes to what.
So, just to show all our missiles, we don't have a good one that's the right kind of mid-range. If we used these sort of like stealthier, oh god, that is a really early version. It's not going to be ideal for having a mass amount of them. I want to have 10 on either side, so that's a kind of payload. So right now we're just looking for something that works with this design. So I don't know if we need a cone the same way. These are the benefits of the torpedoes is they travel at very high G acceleration. Because human-driven ships, of course, are limited in the Expanse by how fast they can actually accelerate. And the reason for this being, of course, you know, when you go on a roller coaster, your body feels heavier, you feel the pressure, but and when they launch someone into space, I believe it's about 4 Gs of pressure, so their bodies feel like 4 times heavier before they actually make orbit. But ships in the Expanse can go, you know, 10 plus Gs up to, you know, 12, 16, and they compensate by using the juice. So they pump your body full of stuff to keep you conscious and dealing with all the pressure. That at the same time they have these crash couches which sort of cushion.
I don't know about you, but I want some of that stuff.
So I'm gonna start by let's see. I'm gonna smooth this so we get a little bit more geometry, and I'm actually gonna do it twice. And this will give us a fairly round result. I'm also gonna cut off the bottom because we need something that can print. And when I design something new, I'm always thinking of like, how can we best print this on a bed so that we don't have to use supports. So this would print vertically. This is going to be nice and thick, but we're going to have to make sure that our actual engine cone, if we put one on, is stable enough that it can actually support the ship. Which is why if you look at these missiles, we have 2 rings, one for the nozzle and one for the outer one, and that's purely to add a little bit of extra support. They still come out a bit finicky, but that's at that scale. At this scale, we're not going to have any issues because it's big. Also, a quick plug for people with adhesion issues. I really have to recommend 3D Lac. I've been using it for this ship on instead of hairspray, just use a layer of this. Brilliant, works every time. No more adhesion issues.
Link to that, boss?
This cost. I'd have to go back and check, but it is fairly cheap. It's like $10 or something like that, and one can last forever. It's like 400 mil.
Okay, get together a link and post that for people so that you as a reference.
Yes, that's a good idea. I will get that together by the end of things, but I don't want to go digging through all of my emails and stuff. Wait, just tossed it out. I'll look that up for you guys, and we'll put it on our Discord or in the YouTube description or something like that. So we need an engine section, we need a propellant section, and we need a payload section. These all could be integrated, but it might look kind of cool if it was doing something special. So I'm going to ask you guys, should we have a rounded sort of warhead, or should we have something that's more angular? So guys, write rounded or angular for your vote, and we'll see if we can...
vote 1 for rounded, vote 2 for angular.
Yes.
Go ahead and post up your thoughts. It is. So that you think, okay, no, just 1 or 2, but okay, you got it. Never mind. Yeah, 1. Pickles a 2.
Mm-hmm.
So we 1, 1, 2, 2 2s.
Wait, no, that's the same 2.
2 for angular so far. 3 for angular.
Oh man.
1 for rounded. Okay, we got a total of 4 for angular and 1 for rounded right now.
Is that right?
I'm voting angular too. I'm getting in on the crowd. Wait, hold on.
Is he rigging the system?
There's my 2.
Okay.
Yeah, you got some stuff to show, Pickle? That'd be great.
I can't access Discord at the moment, if that's what you mean, Pickle. Okay, so we want angular. So if we want angular, I'm going to actually cut off the top here. And I'm going to divide it up into 3 sections. So we're going to have the engine section here. This is the main sort of propellant. We'll have thrusters on the side. And then we'll have the warhead. So let's start with the warhead, since that's what we were talking about. I'm just going to add in a couple of lines here. And I'm actually going to isolate this so you can see that the speed just increased a whole heap. Alright, so gonna select these sides and we're just gonna scale them in. Yeah, maybe something like that. And then we're gonna start extruding up. Gonna do that again, but this time we're gonna scale it in. So this will be something sharper, but what I'll go and do is like eliminate some of the roundness. Alright. So let's see. I just put hard angles on everything, which wasn't my intention. I'm going to use one of the fancy tools I've got, Quick Smooth, which is really nice. Just goes through, looks at the angles, and then change. It looks like a crown right now. Alright, so something sharper. I wonder if we've got some good references here somewhere. Let's have a look. So I'm just gonna start grabbing some of these angles here. Oh, sorry, these are not angles, these are vertexes. And I'm just making them look sharper by... God, it looks like it's not quite... Oh, it wasn't bang on. We want to get this onto the grid so it's... We'll stick it in the middle. There we go. Alright. So we want this to all be sort of even. And we want to go there. And then we want to go here.
As Ben's doing that, does anybody have any questions about the process of what they think should be in a torpedo besides the angular or not angular head, maybe fins or other characteristics that we think we might want to add or take away?
This feels like it's not quite right. I wonder why. If we go up here... ish. Alright, looks kind of non-square. Don't know why. I'm gonna get my grid going so we can get this looking better. So I'm gonna drop this to 40. Guess that's a no to the questions for now.
Yeah, I don't see any feedback yet.
Oops, I need to link that. Link that.
Yeah, he's going with the camera head like a laser guided missile, which kind of makes sense. The optics that basically match target. A lot of modern bombs that have like a laser guided system in them, they'll have like a camera that they can reflect the laser off of whatever surface to indicate the matching kind of surface they're supposed to target to hit it.
Yep. Alright.
Some of those use what's called a laser paint system so that the ship actually paints the target with the laser. And as long as that laser stays on that target, that's where the missile's going to go.
That's what they describe being used as targeting systems in the books.
I'm aware of that. That's why I said that.
Uh-huh.
But that's good feedback, boss.
Okay. Right, so this should give us some kind of odd angular front that I'm hoping will look pretty bad in a good way. So sort of like sharpening, tapering at the end. And go ahead and merge these. So we need a laser at the end. Let's see.
Camera optic and the laser comes out of it. So you know, like an optical, like ball, like glass kind of covered nose type thing, kind of looking.
Yep.
You know, like a camera would be, sort of. That's what he means.
Yeah.
We got a link to something to show him that might help. Raz, you could post a link where you can get something on the web that he can check real quick, see what you're talking about. You got something somewhere. I figured you might have some military background based on that comment. I was in the military as well. I did scary electronic things in there, in the military, as well as supply. I was in for quite a while.
Alright, so we've got back our circular shape here, which means that we can actually do some extrusions.
Cluster missile. That's an interesting idea.
So that optic might be a reasonable size. One thing that a missile doesn't need is brakes. I'm just going to open the window because it's getting pretty hot in here. Oh, look at that in the background, just fancily sitting there.
Freaking 60 degrees over here, Fahrenheit.
Ugh.
I'm not good at converting to Celsius, but...
Alright, enjoy that little sneak peek in the background. Okay, so we're going to have a camera there. We're going to make it bulbous. I'm just thinking about working on these edges here just to make it a little bit nicer. So I'm going to add in a loop. Somewhere like that, maybe a second one.
Enemies using laser guided bombs, probably the best electronic counter would be like a bomb that, you know, went off and exploded like glitter all over the place, you know, like something reflecting, like put effectively like Traveler puts a beach out there called Sandcaster. Those kind of things.
Like in Traveler, yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. But there's also military uses ones that are packed full of like foil and stuff like that too.
Alright. So I mean, rounded and rounded, it's not that rounded. And we're not finished yet either. Because I'm planning on taking like some of these edges.
I think that means you won in the end because we're back to rounded, right?
Yeah. So we're just going to go in a little there. We get this nice little sort of almost screwdriver-y appearance. And then if we go back to the quick smooth tool, we might need some harder edges than that, but
yeah, crap ton of chaff in their path. That's right. That's what the foil stuff's called, chaff. Chaff can also refer to like a heated material, like small flares they dump too.
and there we go with the autosave. That's why I paused for so long. Is that right? We'll find out. Oh, that looks like it's one too many. Yeah.
Welcome. Don't be a lurker. Feel free to participate.
What if I want to be a lurker? Can I be the lurker?
No, you cannot be the lurker.
Yeah.
Sorry. Camera's on you. You can't lurk. On the other hand, I can because I'm invisible.
All right.
So that's another question. How many people here like the live modeling as part of our show each time, and versus like maybe doing more just showing materials that we've done in the past? I'm assuming that everybody likes the live modeling, and Ben loves to do it. Where you get feedback on like how to make it, whether it's conical or angular or whatever. That kind of stuff he loves to do with you guys. Is that do people prefer that, or do you prefer looking more at things Ben's done in the past? Well, thank you, Pickle. Yeah, Pickle's a really good artist, by the way.
Yes, indeed.
He's actually making a Umber Hulk in plate armor for my son.
I'm still interested to hear the story of how that came to be allowed at your table.
Well, it's kind of simple. My game, I usually it's a Pathfinder open game that I run, and I don't limit classes or races pretty much at all. And there is a book out there in third edition, 3.5, which is compatible with Pathfinder 1, that lets you play various races, even Mind Flayers, where it gives an EU value for a deficit, so that like takes levels off versus the creature. And Umber Hulk fits in there at about 12. So we were playing a campaign that was higher level, so he decided to play a straight Umber Hulk rather than having like a 12th level fighter, which, Umber Hulks are rough, so kind of works. And from there, it kind of grew. And he kind of kept playing the character, and it got, we went up to about a 20th level campaign. So he got a few levels under his belt. At one point, he had so many hit points. He had I think it was like over 300 hit points, and the maximum you can take from fall damage, is kind of, less than that. So he jumped off of a high altitude location and slammed into the ground high up with resistances that reduced the damage greatly, and landed in a big crater in front of a dwarf hold. They were under attack, and he came crawling out of the hole and went and attacked the enemies of the dwarves because his boss had told him to do that. And so the dwarves started worshiping him later because he came from the heavens above and just came down to save them from their final hour of the worst fight they were in. So I made it into this cult of people that were kind of semi-worshiping him and stuff. He thought it was hysterical. So it kind of grew, and then he started wearing armor to make himself look more recognizable than just any Umber Hulk, and that kind of stuff.
Fair enough.
We did a lot of unusual story to drive the game to make it, fun for the players, and level problem. Nah, I wasn't in 5e. It was 3.5, a D&D / Pathfinder, which is in that ilk. It stays there. The new Pathfinder, Pathfinder 2, has it's more of a 5e type environment. I got a problem with 5e because it just seems like a lot of time when you level characters, you don't get much. They're kind of empty. They're not filled, and one fighter is pretty much the same as another fighter. Too much. You get a lot more variation in Pathfinder. Even the new Pathfinder, Pathfinder 2, it's got more. You get like 20 different versions of fighter uh, to get more flavor into it, to make it more your own. It's just that's kind of the fun part of D&D, if you ask me. So, eh, I don't know. Ever since they went to Pathfinder 4, I mean, a D&D version 4, I've pretty much not played it much or dealt with it. I had played in a 5 campaign, but I kind of found it hollow.
Well, it definitely is more simplified, but I played a lot of 5e and I played a fair bit of Pathfinder 1, and they're just different flavors. One is more crunchy, the other is just lighter. But I can understand why a lot of people are turned off by Pathfinder because of the complexity of it. But
Right. It's not a game for amateurs. It's got more meat on the bone.
well, I wouldn't say it's a question of amateurs. It's just you can't be lazy with it. Is what I'd say. Okay, so now what we need to do is find out the middle of one. Okay, see how this is disappearing? This is a camera issue. So if I select the camera, what I need to do is change the clipping plane here to 0.5 there and maybe 50,000 there. And now we've got our... Everything's come back. Oh, I can feel a sneeze coming on.
That's cool.
Sorry, guys. Alright, so I was just making an intersection there, and I'll do another one here. The idea is you want to get it a little bit more pointy, so I'm gonna just turn this into triangulations. Let's see, how are we doing for time? Oh god, it's gone so quick.
Yeah, it's good. We got 15, 20 minutes, so you're good. Keep working.
Okay,
I
some of
on
this
D&D.
behaves like I wanted it to on the left side, but not on the right side, so I'm just gonna do this.
Say indeed, stuff goes. Try to like if you run a campaign as a DM and players want to get minis made of those characters later because they're so into that game, like custom setup or whatever. It shows you run a game well enough to get people deeply interested in it, even if that campaign's no longer running. I get people wanting me to restart or come back or bring characters into those campaigns we've done before, and I have an ongoing campaign that before the pandemic around the world, I had been running for literally 30 years straight every weekend, even when I was in the military, and I never missed anything until then. So I kind of miss it at being able to do that again. But I run at a game store local here and help kids that are a separate campaign, different one that was for homeschool kids, so that they could have a interaction to get together and rather than stay at home and not have any interaction with other kids and teach them how to deal with others more correctly in the game. So I really like running games myself, all kinds, and with Ben's stuff, this sci-fi thing, I'm really looking forward to using some of this stuff in the games with them, printed to give them more characteristic of what they're really dealing with and their ship and everything else. I think it'll be epically cool to do that, and this would be great for the Starfinder or Traveler or
The Expanse, maybe?
well, no, there's a lot of RPGs that'd be good for
Yeah.
that are science based, and I think it'd be really good for Warhammer 40K kill team stuff too, because making those small clear ship type things, boarding, it'd be really awesome.
Well, that reminds me, I have to talk to Ian about he's got this awesome from Dragon's Rest. He's got this awesome
Yeah, space hulk.
breaching
Friction.
pods.
You can put a bunch of them together and just keep going with it. That'd be awesome too.
All right. Starting to see something of a warhead here, I think. So I'm just doing what I do a lot of on occasion with this translation tools.
How do you guys think you might use Ben's products in the game? I mean, what kind of game are you excited to use it in once you get the ships, the new stuff?
That is a good question. It's like market research.
Yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do, Bob. Remember? I keep calling him Bob. I don't actually get paid anything to do it. I just help. So.
Not yet.
Yeah. I'm the cheapest employee you ever had.
That's true.
Where's yeah, that's good. Starfinder, good, yeah. Do you have any of his products currently? Cosmic Jedi?
Cosmic, maybe.
Cosmic Jedi, okay, I get it.
Starfinder is one of those things I feel like I need to play it before I actually support it. And I've got I've got an ongoing Monday game that will be ending soon. We're into it's a 5e game, but we're above 20th level right now, so it's going to end in a few sessions, and then we're going to play some Starfinder instead, I believe. So I'm looking forward to that. Don't know what to play yet. Usually go like a mechanic or or a ship designer. I always wanted to design ships since I was a kid. I think I've talked about it before, but my very first computer game was Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. It was the AD&D port. Well, back in the early days, they had the license for Buck Rogers, and they did this divergent thing where it's kind of like the Expanse in a sense, but a lot more pulpy, I'd say. But they had these rocket ships, and you could board other ships and take over them, but you could never claim them for your own. You could sell them for salvage, but you couldn't switch ships, and that always irked me. Since then, I would design these rocket ships as a kid. Just merging some vertexes here that ended up where we didn't really want them. It's amazing what a little bit of geometry can actually do to liven up a design. Because the actual printer creates some interesting texture sometimes. Alright, I think that's the whole way through. So we've got a nice sort of warhead end to it. Still kind of like a crown, so I'll probably actually bring some of these in a bit more. Maybe do more of a tiered thing. We need to add thrusters. The big issue is interior layout doesn't support models well. Oh, you mean in Starfinder or my models don't? I find a lot of the flat maps don't really work. Like that's going to be a challenge with the next ship because there's not a lot of overhead room always, and like yeah, it would work well in reality, but when you're working with miniatures, you kind of got to make some compromises. So, let's see. I think it might be easy to go to the bottom end here. I don't know if I'm loving this. question is how the engines are going to look. You know what? We could have a look and see what. Let's see. Let's see what the torpedoes look like in the Expanse. So we've got this sort of. We've got this. Okay. I don't know what the back of it looks like. These are kind of hard to see. You can see the railgun going. It looks like it could be a missile there, but it could also be a ship. Let's see if there are any other examples. I haven't seen this one. Missiles. It looks like we only really have that first. Okay, here we go. Alright, this is kind of hard to see, but maybe the image itself. Hey, that's not it.
Share a link to if it's another Kickstarter that I worked on that has some different flair. This is a D&D Kickstarter, but it's called Lost Adventures. It was printing scenes. Each scene was an environment, like an encounter. So rather than working on printing a few minis or a design of an individual ship, it was set up for like an encounter where you would do like they had the map and they had the minis for it, and they had the monster you might be encountering or the small adventure that you were involving yourself in. So I'm thinking it may be evolutionarily speaking, as far as 3D printing goes, maybe more of those kind of things, doing a small adventure to match it. So we could do maybe a Starfinder thing and match an adventure encounter for that given ship. That might be a future development idea, and we would look for help for people who played Starfinder or other games to make adventures like that with some of the products that Ben has done. And that's kind of like what I was thinking might be a good thing that people could involve themselves in and discuss. Maybe come up with some ideas if that's something that people are interested in.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, and as far as interior layout and flat plane, yeah, basically the contour design of the ship outside doesn't usually give the space for inside. Yeah, that can be quite the problem. So how do you usually fix that, Ben?
Well, lessons learned. There are different ways to do it. One is like removing the ceiling, obviously for play helps. So it doesn't matter if the ceilings are a bit lower, like in the scout ship. There's a section where the ceilings are a lot lower, but it has its advantages and disadvantages. These days I try to map out the volume first to see what it's going to be like, and try to make a 2-inch clearance. That's including the floors. The further I get with this stuff, the more frustrated I actually get with the format, because the floor does take up a considerable amount of thickness, but when you're using clips, you kind of got to do it that way, just for the support, if nothing else. So right now I'm just marking out these sections where I think I'm gonna go in and then out.
I think we have a few people picking up. We're up to 9 right now, so you might want to show the overall ship again and give a briefing, because you got about half of your audience that has not seen it before.
Get them more excited about it. Yeah, show the ship. Yeah, the complete ship. Yeah. It's an exciting. I'm so excited for this project. I can't wait until the film's done. It's going to be spectacular. Let's see. I will do a second tour of the ship in a minute. We'll have to wrap up as usual without completely finishing, because we're almost upon 3 o'clock at the moment. And
we'll show you how this came out in the next show.
Well, yes.
Because that's usually what we do.
It is indeed. So we've got some ribbing there.
If you have input that you think on the missile that you'd like to see some changes on, Going to our Discord and providing feedback in the suggestion area would be ideal for where to put those suggestions that Ben could include, or at least give us some feedback on.
Yes, indeed. I'm just
The
gonna have
it's
another
part of
look at
this.
this.
We'll have the link for the Discord free invite and invite to his webpage if you're looking for product. And My Mini Factory for individual items is out there as well on the beginning of this. But let's get a show of the ship again as soon as he gets a chance. We'll do
Yep.
a once
Yep.
over. You're getting close, Ben.
Yeah. Okay. Always out of time. All right. Let's get the ship back into view here. So to summarize things, we're getting these torpedoes ready. They're going to fit in these tubes. I'm going to make it so that the tube opens up. I'm all about the functionality. But right now, I will hide these items so we can just have one last look at things. So I'm going to kill the stretch goals. I'm going to stick these in stretch goals too, so that we don't have all this junk here. So yeah, here's the ship proper. Mind the exhaust; it looks different when you render it. All right, so I still need a timeline. So the ship is comprised of a total of 11 decks. You can see them in this sort of image here, starting from the bridge. We've got our airlock level with suits and armaments. We've got our first living quarters, medical. Then we have the sort of like the galley, some more living quarters, our cargo bay, our engineering and workshop, and then finally our engine cores. So this is what it looks like when it actually renders out. And
Remember, this is all designed through open lock, which means that it is, you know, you could add
modular.
pieces, you could modify this, you can do all kinds of things with it. You can build it as you want, switch decks around. But the outside and inside, variations for the gun mounts will, of course, be an issue if you do that.
Yeah, they can be. I mean, we're going to add some more options. So, like, for example, with these side missiles, if you'd rather, you can grab some extra PDCs instead and put them on the racks.
Yeah, the upcoming Kickstarter, there's going to be some variations he's adding to that. I'm not sure what they all are, but I just want to kick out there that there will be a lighting kit option as well coming up, which will be I deal with. There will also be some feedback, probably questions that will come out and asking you about directions for different options we will add. So some of the stretch goals will be what you're telling us you want to see,
Yeah.
and there'll be some, like there'll be some shows like this where we get together and like take votes on different changes to those stretch goals as well. So keep your eye open for our shows as well. Keep going, Ben. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're right. Um, so, oh yeah, the wrong lights are on here, so it all looks a bit messed up. But, the, yeah, the ship is going to be base priced at 300 crowns, which is about $34 in the campaign. For the plans, of course, you'll have to print it out yourself. I think it runs somewhere between 5 and 6 kilos of plastic. But as mentioned, it's like 2.5 feet, more than 2.5 feet tall, about 70 centimeters, and then change for the rest of it. Stretch goals we're definitely going to do. The torpedo tubes that you guys saw, we're definitely doing some cargo replacements. We'll probably do a couple of extra deck interior variants, like perhaps a gym, or I think there's one other room that I forgot that's on the Rossi. And we'll have a spinal mounted rail gun. I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be great, guys. September 9th. Keep that in mind. We'll be back next Friday at around the same time, and we'll have hopefully even more to show. So stay tuned to that. Thanks, Zorma, again for joining me, as always.
Not a problem, boss. Hey, if you guys need physical assistance with your printers or need help fixing things to get them working right, if you have trouble printing any of his products, you can get support on Ben's website as well from me. I'm happy to help you with straightening any of those details. Also, please stop by. See, I keep mentioning the Discord, our Discord, and say hi once in a while. It would be nice to hear from you.
Yes. Yes, it would. I'm sure it's going to be a little bit more active now that we're getting into campaign territory again. So, thanks, guys. We'll see you guys next week. And yeah, thanks for joining us.